We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next. Welcome back to the Daily Helpline. Today, Miles and I are joined by a real hero, our co-host, Greg Louganis. And we've been chatting with Alex, who Greg can really relate to. Now, Alex is an addict in recovery, and he also is HIV positive. And you all were connecting in a really wonderful way before the break. Yeah. I'm curious what all this is like for you.
When I watched the Olympics back in the day, and I saw Greg Louganis, you know, and I heard the story and I knew the HIV. And then like a few years later, I saw the Mario Lopez, the film on Greg Louganis, and I didn't have HIV back then, but I related with the gay, and I related with, you know, what it was like to be in the middle of like this controversy, even though like I had never felt part of when I was a child. And suddenly he was this Olympic diver, but then everything, this like a secret like came out, and I was always, in school, I was always afraid that everybody would find out I was gay. He's been much like a strength to me when I've had HIV. It's like I realized, you know, the people are living their lives, you know, and if Greg Louganis can do it, you know, and he lives a great life. And I was then told, you know, that people live for 30 years and it's not much of a death, you know, it's not a death sentence anymore.
And I don't want it to escape us, and I hope you know the reality of this, and if you don't, I'm going to help you with it, is that I'm proud of what you're doing with your recovery. Mm-hmm. You're 10 months in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I also want you to know you're still in a dangerous place. You're really vulnerable to relapse right now. Mm-hmm. And unless you can allow yourself to process this anger and deal with it, anger is one of the biggest triggers for relapse with addiction. And crystal meth does have long-term post-acute withdrawal on the brain and on the body. And so it does make sense that you'd still be tired, and it can take up to a year to really get your body and brain balanced out again. So you need to give yourself some space, but you don't do that alone. And I know you're plugged into a 12-step community.
Yeah.
How frequently?
I go quite a bit.
Okay.
I go at least once a day.
Good.
So yeah.
I think that's incredibly important. Yeah. And you know, there's kind of 4 steps to an anger process that I've used before, and it's identify, grace, empathy, and forgiveness. I broke them down in one word for you. So whenever you feel anger coming up, identify the source of it. It's usually not what we think it is. So what's the message underneath the message? And just identifying it will remove you one step from it. The second part is immediately give yourself some grace. If you have to get on your knees to do that, that's fine. There's no shame. Give yourself some grace from the anger. Then empathize. And then you got to work into the forgiveness process. If you can do those 4 things and practice it every day, it will help you not hide the anger or tuck it away, get it out in the open and deal with it. But that's really important. And you don't do that by yourself. You've got to plug into community. 12-step is important, and I think what we'd like to get you connected with is the Los Angeles LGBT Center is an amazing resource, and they provide multiple resources. They do individual counseling, group counseling around issues specific to what you're talking about with the diagnosis of HIV positive and with addiction. And our resource coordinator backstage is going to get you connected with them. We've talked to those folks, and it's a really awesome resource. And I think you need to, right now, you need to do as much as you can. Not just one lane, you need to be broadening out your resources and really plugging into community so you can experience more empathy. What I saw, the gift you got today from here to here was empathy. And if you can do that more for yourself, that will be your doorway through the pain.
Yeah, okay. Also, you know, it's hard, like in the very beginning, I used to just cry in the pillow because I so wanted to tell my mom. But you know, it's hard to tell my mom, but then like, it's just a very hard thing to tell her, to tell an 80-year-old woman that, you know, because she's old school. And that's another challenge I have living at home with my mother. And do I tell her do I tell her because I want the sympathy? Or do I tell her because she's going to be that loving, nurturing mother that I had when I was a child?
Sometimes we make dragons out of nothing.
Yeah.
We make monsters that don't exist. You know, I mean, that's what I learned in sharing, you know, all I've shared about, You know, being a gay man living with HIV, being in an abusive relationship, all of those things, being, you know, we make these monsters. And when I came out to my mom about my sexuality, just like her reaction was, "Oh, what's for dinner?" You know, and so I mean, she probably knew before I was ready to tell her. You know, and you know, I know that this is, you know, a lot. You know, because you've got addiction, you've got HIV, you've got sexual identity. You know, all of that. You know, so it's a lot to take in. But you'd be surprised of a mother's love. You might be surprised.
And I would say to you, as a mother, there is nothing that my children could tell me that I would not want to be there to support them and love them through. And so if your mom was there for you once, you may want to consider counting on her to be there for you again. Just make sure that your heart is in the right place when you tell her. Give her space, know that she's going to have a feeling about it, and let her have her moment. But also tell her what it is that you need from her. Because as moms, sometimes we just don't know what to do, so we want to do everything. So let her know why you're telling her, and let her know how you need her to show up for you.
And right now, the secrets around this piece are going to breed the shame. And the shame is a straitjacket for you. And we got to get you out of that so you can feel free.
Tell her,
All right?
love her. We thank Alex for sharing his story today, and we wish him well on his journey. And we'll be right back with more of the Daily Helpline right after this. Coming up, what is that? No romance without finance?
Oh yeah, no money, no honey. Yes,
Come on, well,
I
you
know
are,
that.
okay, whatever works for you. We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.